The morning was quiet, interrupted only by the rustle of the financial paper as Alex Cooper leisurely sipped his red wine. His robe hung loosely, and water droplets from his half-dried hair trickled down his neck. He glanced around the bedroom, expecting Emily to join him. She usually appeared in a white cashmere robe, exuding a delicate fragrance.
Ethan Parker is back.
Emily stood before him, dressed in a sophisticated silver-gray suit, a diamond necklace gleaming on her neck.
So, let's get a divorce.
Alex took a moment to process her words, scenarios flashing through his mind.
What? Did that ethereal ballerina who danced Swan Lake so beautifully dump Ethan Parker?
Emily's cold demeanor cracked instantly.
What does it matter to you? Let me remind you, Alex Cooper, you're just a stand-in.
Alex couldn't forget. Every morning was a reminder of his role. 3 years ago, Alex met Lily Thompson at a bar. She was heartbroken and clung to him, calling out Ethan's name. He brought her back to his apartment. That night, in her excitement, she mistook him for Ethan, leading to a passionate encounter.
I never want to leave you, Ethan.
The next morning, she realized her mistake and slapped him. 2 months later, she returned.
I'm pregnant. Let's get married.
Lily's beauty was her greatest asset, followed by her tendency to throw documents at people.
You know, you could try electronic payments. You always throw them so aggressively. I'm worried you'll strain your shoulder.
Lily's expression cracked slightly, but she maintained her cold demeanor.
The child stays with me. You can't visit without my permission. I'll cover your father's medical expenses. You can keep working at the company. Your salary will remain the same. You have no premarital assets. The check I just gave you is your compensation. Take it and leave.
Alex hurriedly packed his things, waking Lila in the process.
Daddy, hug me.
His heart sank as he hugged his precious daughter.
Daddy got something in his eye. A little bug flew in.
I'll blow it out for you.
Alex felt like his heart was breaking. The Thompson Group is one of the top enterprises in the city, known for its strong capabilities and thriving in many industries. Lily Thompson, as the president, is renowned not only for her beauty but also for her exceptional skills and decisive actions. When I opened my email, I saw a company-wide announcement: Ethan Parker had been parachuted into the management team as vice president and senior financial advisor, deeply involved in the group's operations and future investment decisions. I kept my position as head of the logistics office, probably due to Lily's momentary soft-heartedness. This job had always been easy. I was more of a mascot. But now, having finally been ousted by Lily, I became the focus of the entire company's employees. At first, they only whispered behind my back. Within a few days, some started to embarrass me openly, and even worse, began dumping all sorts of trivial tasks on me.
So he's Alex Cooper, huh? He's quite good looking, but turns out he's just a loser. No wonder Lily divorced him.
I turned and smiled at her, and she blushed and lowered her head.
How can you still smile?
John Smith slammed the table, his face shaking with anger.
Alex Cooper, you used to be a rich family's son-in-law, and I tolerated you for Lily's sake. Now that you have no one to rely on, you dare to hand in such shoddy work.
I touched my nose. From a son-in-law to a discarded husband, the treatment was worlds apart. He used to flatter me, almost sweeping the ground I walked on. I remained silent, which only fueled his anger, and he began to berate me even more fiercely.
I've explained. I wasn't responsible for this. If you want me to take over, I can revise the follow-up plan, but don't blame me for the previous mistakes.
It seemed he was waiting for my retort. He jumped up, throwing the documents at me. The white papers scattered on the ground, reminiscent of the divorce papers Emily had thrown at me. My head buzzed, and before I knew it, my fist had already swung out. John fell to the ground, clutching his face and shouting, I saw dark red blood seeping through his fingers. I rushed over, straddling him, raining punches on his face.
Lily can throw things at me, but you? Who do you think you are?
In the chaos, people were screaming, calling for security, and many rushed to pull me away, urging me to calm down. I ignored them, my upper body restrained but still managing to kick John several times. Having long legs had its advantages.
What are you doing? In public, at the workplace, Alex Cooper, have you lost your mind?
I looked up to see Lily, standing beside a man in a three-piece suit, impeccably groomed. Finally, I saw Ethan Parker in person.
Not that similar, my eyes are bigger.
Ethan and I were similar in height and build, and our facial features were somewhat alike. But my eyes drooped slightly at the corners, while his eyes slanted upwards, giving him a somewhat sinister look with his gold-rimmed glasses. Lily's expression was a mix of emotions, as if she wanted to swallow me whole.
Alex Cooper, aren't you ashamed? Disobeying management, causing a scene, assaulting your superior. How do you expect to survive in the workplace like this?
Ethan looked at me with a mocking smile, gently patting Lily's back, his eyes filled with amusement. Lily took a deep breath, leaning on the table, staring down at me.
John has been sent to the hospital. You have 2 days to visit him, bring flowers and gifts, and apologize.
Sorry, I can't do that. He's just making a fuss over nothing.
Lily's face turned red with anger.
If you can't, then leave. Do you really think you're fit for your current position? Without a college degree, what can you do? You can't even handle these trivial logistics tasks. Alex Cooper, I'm really disappointed in you.
Lily's words were like slaps to my face, making it hot, but my heart felt cold. Being a man reduced to this, enough is enough.
Then I'll do as you wish. Please accept my verbal resignation, Miss Thompson.
Her expression was momentarily stunned, as if she hadn't expected me to agree so readily. But it quickly returned to the familiar cold look.
If you've made up your mind, go to the finance department to collect your N+1 compensation.
Excuse me.
A cold voice interrupted. Ethan shook his head slightly, not even looking at me, and said to Lily,
Voluntary resignation doesn't come with severance pay, Ms. Thompson. Of course, given Mr. Cooper's past relationship with Ms. Thompson, the company can make an exception.
I don't remember how I walked out of the group's doors. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I glanced at it, the severance pay had been deposited. I tapped a few times and donated the money to charity. From this moment on, I should be completely severed from Lily and her troublesome past. I turned and walked into the city's largest entertainment venue, Night Paradise. The same opulence, the same indulgence. 3 years ago, I was behind the bar mixing drinks and wiping glasses. Now, I looked every bit the wealthy young man. The hostess of the place didn't recognize me anymore.
You have an impressive demeanor. Staying behind the bar is a waste. Instead, you should use your looks to provide emotional value to the high-end clientele who come and go, whether they are down on their luck or riding high. Don't worry, she said, tapping my chest with her bright red nails. We're very proper here. Just have a drink, chat a bit, pass on a message. None of that shady business. Sweet talk a little, read the room, and the money will come rolling in.
I laughed. No one was better at reading the room than I was. For the past 3 years, I had been adjusting my emotions and demeanor to suit Lily's whims, gentle and considerate when she was happy, cold and distant when she was angry. I had become adept at playing multiple roles. Sure enough, within a month, I had made a name for myself. New and regular clients flocked to me, and I was busy every day. A few days later, among the many patrons, I saw Lily. She was still wearing her fine wool suit, the skirt just half an inch above her knees, hugging her well-proportioned body. She leaned casually against a high stool at the bar, her silver gray pearl earrings complementing her delicate makeup, standing out starkly from the other patrons with their revealing clothes and bright red lips. She stared at me expressionlessly, watching how I whispered intimately with the female patrons under the dim lights of the booth, how I laughed and pulled them into my arms, and how I handed them those dizzying alcoholic drinks. I raised my glass to her, but she turned her head away coldly. So, I ignored her and focused on the beauty curled up in my arms, a spoiled rich girl who was very generous. With her helping my performance, I had no worries about becoming the top seller.
"You're so bad," she giggled, leaving a bright red lipstick mark on my chin.
My ears turned red, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw Lily walking towards me.
Alex, is this your new high-paying job? Her voice was sharp, as it always was when she was very unhappy. You really know how to let go, she sneered. If you need money, you can ask me. After all, we were once married. Why degrade yourself with such lowly work?
Miss Thompson, I sneered back, a customer is a customer. If you want to book me, I'll gladly drink with you. But if you're here to humiliate me, then please leave. If you make a scene, the security will naturally escort you out.
Lily was furious, glaring at me for a long time without saying a word, then stomped off in her high heels. A few days later, when she returned, I realized that her previous visit had indeed been a coincidence. This time, she came prepared to humiliate me. But calling it humiliation isn't entirely accurate. After all, successful people in high society always maintain a facade of politeness. Even when Lily was angry with me, the worst she called me was jerk or idiot.
You still can't settle down. I was helpless with myself. Seeing my ex-wife being affectionate with another man would make any man see red, right?
Ethan Parker was 2 inches taller than me, and his presence was even more striking. When he wasn't around, I didn't feel it, but as soon as he appeared, I immediately paled in comparison.
Long time no see, Mr. Cooper. Are you here for business too? Where are you working these days? He feigned surprise, but his eyes and expression betrayed his lack of surprise.
Mr. Parker, you're joking. You booked me, so I'm here to open the wine for you.
Oh, what a coincidence! When I saw the photo on the booking, I thought it was just someone who looked similar.
He turned and put his arm around Lily's waist.
Then I'll trouble you, Mr. Cooper. My girlfriend isn't feeling well. Could you get her a low-alcohol drink?
Lily turned her face away, not looking at me. I nodded and was about to leave when Ethan stopped me again.
He smiled slightly, his dark eyes staring straight at me, and made a gesture of invitation. We're here for business tonight. We'd like you to entertain our guest.
The guest he referred to was a short, stout man in his 50s, trying hard to look young, exuding the aura of a nouveau riche, completely out of place in the elegant setting. Lily never introduced me at formal events, but I had seen him from afar at large events hosted by the Thompson family. Once, when Lily was drunk, she had cursed James Johnson, calling him a lecherous old man with no boundaries. And now, this lecherous old man was sitting next to me, inching closer. The purple spotlight on the dance floor heightened the atmosphere, and the scantily clad dancers moved their bodies seductively, their eyes dreamy, providing a different kind of thrill for those inclined. Suddenly, I felt a hand on my thigh. To hit or not to hit, that was the question.
Is this the best you can do? A few $1,000s for a booking, and all you do is drink? Alex, shouldn't you give us a performance?
I seized the opportunity to get up, shaking off the wandering hand, and headed to the dance floor. Ethan's first reaction was to stop me, but then he seemed to think of something and sat back down, his gaze dark and unreadable. He probably hoped I'd make a fool of myself in public, but he was in for a disappointment. I had never told anyone, not even Lily, that I got into that university, or I didn't get my degree, because of my dance skills. After a dance, the audience was stunned.
A grown man dancing so provocatively.
But I received an unexpected surprise. A guest had filmed the dance and uploaded it online, garnering millions of views. I had become an overnight internet sensation. In a tense meeting, Alex tried to negotiate with Lily.
I'll return the breakup fee, and I'll slowly repay my dad's medical expenses. I want visitation rights for Lila.
You want? Alex, do you think your small influencer income gives you the leverage to negotiate with me?
Influencer income depends on traffic. Although I'm currently popular, no one can guarantee what the future holds. But Lila is my heart and soul. No matter what, I have to try.
But Lily, I just want a chance to see her. She's so young, she needs her father.
Ethan and I are getting married soon. Lila will have a legitimate father, and I'll change her last name to Parker. If you keep showing up, you'll only disrupt my plans.
Lily and I once had good times. When she was in a good mood, she didn't mind my occasional lapses. But now, her calm words felt like a poisoned dagger piercing my heart. Lily moved closer, her breath fragrant like rose petals.
Sometimes I wish Lila were Ethan's child, inheriting his brilliant mind, not like you, who couldn't even finish college. That night at Night Paradise, it wasn't that I wanted to help you. I just really disliked James Johnson, that old lecher. So don't think I have any lingering feelings for you.
My heart felt like it had fallen into an icy abyss. I fled, desperate and humiliated, my sorrow compounded by the shame of having my feelings so ruthlessly exposed. I drank a lot, strong drinks, countless glasses. I seemed to bump into someone who apologized, but I wouldn't let it go. After getting the beating I seemed to crave, I cried like a helpless child. Someone silently handed me a tissue with a faint jasmine scent. Then, a business card was handed over, a fair, slender hand extended towards me. The woman opposite had a lovely face and a warm smile.
Hello, Mr. Cooper. I'm Sarah Williams. Nice to meet you.
As the head of a large publicly traded company, Sarah's demeanor was much more approachable than Lily's usual aristocratic elegance. She found me for a simple reason, to embarrass Lily.
Not bad, very handsome.
She tugged at my tie, stepped back, and tilted her head to scrutinize me, looking a bit like a mischievous girl. I hadn't attended many such large parties before, but Lily had arranged etiquette and social interaction courses for me to make me more like Ethan. So when I appeared at the party with Sarah on my arm, we indeed attracted many envious glances. The scene was a sea of flowers and laughter, the grand crystal chandelier reflecting off the pyramid of champagne glasses, making Sarah and me look like a perfect couple. I looked around and saw Lily busy socializing in the crowd. Ethan was not by her side. She saw me too, her expression clearly stunned for a moment. Then she noticed Sarah beside me, her face changed, her eyebrows furrowing deeply. Sarah intimately linked her arm with mine, walked through the crowd, and approached Lily.
Long time no see, Miss Thompson. Let me introduce you to my boyfriend, Alex Cooper.
Nice to meet you.
Oh. You must already know each other. No need for my redundant introduction, right, Alex?
Whatever you say, I'm fine with it.
Lily sneered.
Ms. Williams, you truly live up to your reputation, always well prepared. But it's a waste of effort to bring my ex-husband here to put on a show. I am determined to win today's bid.
Oh? Is that so? Ms. Thompson, haven't you wondered why Ethan's phone has been unreachable since last night?
Lily's face gradually changed color, her eyebrows knitted together, and her suspicious gaze shifted to my face.
Did you do something to Ethan Parker? Alex Cooper, you're overestimating yourself. Ethan's intelligence and knowledge far surpass yours. What makes you think you can compete with him?
Because Alex Cooper once had a bright future too.
Sarah Williams' eyes were blazing, as if something was burning within them.
Although he got into university with extra points for dance, his major was solid architectural design. His work even won a national award. But in his third year, his parents had a car accident. His mother passed away instantly, and his father's condition was very unstable. He had to take a break from school to take care of him.
Lily's face softened slightly, her anger mixed with confusion.
When his father was out of danger and moved into a care center, he had to juggle his studies with multiple jobs to cover the treatment costs. But his luck was terrible. Just 2 months before he could graduate, he got into a fight at a bar and was expelled from school.
Is this true? Why did you never tell me?
I smiled bitterly. Fighting, whether you lose and end up in the hospital or win and end up in jail, neither outcome is pleasant.
And you know why he fought, Miss Lily? Because the day of the fight was the day you first met.
Lily's expression turned from anger to horror. She looked at me, her eyes filled with regret.
If he hadn't had the misfortune of meeting you, he might have become a famous designer by now.
Sarah's melodious voice whispered in Lily's ear.
Ethan Parker won't be coming today. 2 days ago, he handed me the bid proposal for the Lee Corporation.
In this business battle with the Williams Corporation, Lily lost miserably. As soon as the news of the failed bid spread, the Lee Corporation's stock plummeted. Because of Ethan, the board members were furious with her for being blinded by emotions, using the wrong people, and severely impacting business decisions. They continuously questioned her management abilities. Ethan disappeared without a trace, like a stone sinking into the sea. It wasn't until a month later, when I saw a drunken Lily at Night Paradise, that I realized it was all premeditated.
I hired a private investigator and found out that Emma Brown never left Ethan. They planned it all, making Ethan play the role of a reformed man for me.
Lily drank strong liquor, her hair disheveled around her neck, her face flushed, and her eyes red and swollen.
I was so foolish. Back then, he left me, his fiancée, to chase after his first love. I was in so much pain, almost to the point of no return.
Large tears rolled down her cheeks.
I was so pitiful then, having just taken over the Lee Corporation, with business rivals eyeing me from the outside and old board members causing trouble from within. Ethan left when I needed him the most, and I loved him so much. And now it's happening again. No. This time it's different. He deceived me on purpose. He and Sarah teamed up to set me up. Their goal from the start was money.
She suddenly became agitated, her face turning pale, desperately grabbing my hand, her eyes unable to focus.
Where is Alex Cooper? Where is Alex?
I felt my heart ache clearly.
Alex Cooper hasn't left. He's right here. Don't be afraid.
Waking up next to Lily again felt like a dream. She was still asleep, the early morning light filtering through the curtains and casting a glow on her jet black hair. Her breathing was as steady as a baby's.
I'd always known that beneath her exterior as a powerful businesswoman, she was just a woman starved for love. If I could offer her love, perhaps she would want me to stay by her side.
I quietly got out of bed, dressed, and went to buy her favorite breakfast from a nearby shop. The thought of it made me feel like an excited teenager. The breakfast shop was 2 blocks away, and by the time I returned with the packed meal, the sun was fully up. The front door was open, though I distinctly remembered locking it when I left. My heart sank. Pushing the door open, I saw a man's coat strewn across the sofa. From the bedroom came the sound of muffled sobs and heated arguments between a man and a woman.
I'm sorry, Lily, it's my fault. Emma, that deceitful woman, she tricked me. I was blinded by her sweet words. I didn't expect her to kick me to the curb after getting what she wanted and secretly transfer all my assets. When I lost everything, I realized that only you truly loved me, unconditionally.
The bedroom door was ajar, and I saw Ethan burying his head in Lily's lap, his shoulders shaking. Lily had her back to me, so I couldn't see her expression. She seemed to say something that made Ethan lift his head and retort loudly.
No, Lily, believe me, nothing can come between us. Not Emma, not Alex Cooper. His voice trembled with emotion as he pulled the tearful Lily into his arms. I know you didn't mean it. I already know about Lila. You were afraid Alex would hold a grudge and refuse to help Lila. So you turned to him, didn't you? It must be that. There's nothing more between you two. Don't worry, the cure rate for acute childhood leukemia is very high. Even without his help, we can save Lila.
I turned and left. The cold autumn wind should have felt freezing on my face, but I felt nothing. I wandered aimlessly through the streets, cars whizzing by, all the sounds mocking my arrogance and folly.
How did it come to this? I hadn't done anything wrong, had I? It was laughable, utterly laughable. Alex Cooper, you've wasted 3 years of your life and learned nothing. You're a pathetic joke.
I thought Ethan was gone, that Lily had seen through him, and I might have a slight advantage in this undefined relationship. But I was wrong, stabbed deeply and painfully once again. The pain was excruciating, tearing me apart. I finally broke into hysterical laughter, my sobs startling the passers-by. A little girl, about Lila's age, clung to her mother in fear.
Lila, where was Lila? I hadn't seen her when I returned yesterday. She must have been taken to the countryside villa by the nanny. How could such a lively and adorable child have leukemia?
My heart raced as I pulled out my phone to question Lily about Lila. I saw over a dozen missed calls from my father's hospital. The last message read, Mr. Cooper, we regret to inform you that your father passed away at 3:50 a.m. today. Our condolences. I don't remember how it started or ended. 3 days later, when the wooden box containing my father's ashes was handed to me, its weight was the only thing tethering me to this world. I stared blankly at the photo on the urn, my gaze drifting beyond it to nowhere. The sky began to drizzle, soon turning into a downpour. I remembered that at the moment my father passed, I was lying in Lily's bed. My heart felt like it was being crushed by an invisible hand. Tears finally streamed down my face. Amidst the wind and rain, my cries blended with the sounds of nature, like a life coming full circle, from nothingness to nothingness. A gentle hand opened an umbrella, shielding me from the rain. Sarah Williams stood beside me, her face pale from the cold.
Let's talk, Alex.
Seeing me exhale in relief, Sarah Williams smiled and pushed a cup of hot chocolate towards me.
I have good news. I just received word that your daughter has been ruled out for acute leukemia. It was a misdiagnosis caused by a reaction to medication. With proper care, she will recover soon.
Is that true? Thank you so much.
Now, I'd like to talk about us.
Sarah blushed slightly as she recalled the past.
I've actually known you for a long time. We were schoolmates. I was a year ahead of you. I watched you dance. When you won the national award, I was in the audience.
In short, you were actually my... No! Please use a different term. I might throw up.
Red mark. Alex, you were my red mark. But it seems we were a bit star-crossed. I was sent abroad by my family before I graduated. When I returned years later, I only knew you had been expelled and thought I'd never see you again until I stumbled upon a video of you dancing. Following the clues, I discovered your past and your entanglements with Lily.
Sarah's gaze grew distant as she continued her story.
Emma had been planning for a long time. She successfully persuaded Ethan Parker to join the plan. My original goal was just a business rivalry, but your appearance gave me an excellent reason to strike at Lily.
I had seen Emma in a group photo in Lily's album. Although Lily deeply loved Ethan, she didn't hate Emma enough to black out her face, which I found somewhat admirable.
Emma and Ethan were classmates. She had a white moonlight.
Sarah realized she had misspoken and quickly stopped.
Never mind, I'm used to it. Go ahead.
Emma had a childhood friend who was a motorcycle enthusiast. Out of jealousy, Ethan secretly tampered with his bike. Perhaps Ethan only intended to embarrass him, but the guy had an accident, hit his head on the ground, and passed away. Ethan thought no one knew, but Emma always had her suspicions. By the time she confirmed it, Ethan and Lily were already engaged.
Emma didn't hesitate for a moment. A bottle of wine and a few tears were enough to capture Ethan. The allure of a top-tier white moonlight was indeed powerful.
Emma bided her time for 3 years, gaining control of all of Ethan's assets and social circles. But she wanted more than just his entire fortune. She wanted him to be utterly isolated and ruined.
Sarah grew more excited as she spoke, her eyes flickering with tiny flames, her nostrils flaring slightly.
She knew Lily loved Ethan deeply and would accept him even if he had nothing. So she orchestrated this bidding event, using my family's reward to tempt Ethan. Ethan, the fool, actually agreed, following the plan step by step to get close to Lily, gain her trust, and ultimately betray her.
I couldn't believe it. Such a slender Emma had so much power. Even hearing the story secondhand, one could feel the determination and immense hatred.
And then, as you probably know, Emma disappeared, and Ethan fell into ruin.
Sarah finished her story in one breath, took a sip of her coffee, and looked at me expectantly.
Alex, I'm not telling you this to justify my motives. Whether it was business rivalry or helping Emma, I had my own selfish reasons. I like you. The grievances you suffered with Lily, I avenged in my own way. I want to pursue you. Can I?
Although it's hard to say this to someone who admires you.
Under Sarah's puzzled gaze, I said slowly and clearly.
But sometimes, you wealthy people are really quite nauseating.
Alex, my father gave me this name hoping I would always walk towards the sun, yet I trapped myself in such an embarrassing situation. How foolish. My father passed away, my daughter recovered, and I was left alone, free to come and go. I shut down my online accounts, changed my phone number, and returned to the small town where I was born. Winter came and went, and before I knew it, more than 4 months had passed. The small town was just beginning to show signs of spring. I opened a small shop, and with few customers, I spent my days holding my cat, watching the clouds on sunny days and the rain on gloomy ones. The local dialects surrounded me, and even breathing felt much easier. Stepping out of that cage, the world seemed so vast. After organizing the shelves, I turned off the lights and was about to close up when the bell by the door suddenly rang. Someone walked in.
So late, and there's still a customer? Holding my cat, I hurried around the shelves to greet them.
The streetlight was dim, but I still recognized Lily's silhouette in the faint light. She wore a coat, looking particularly thin, her face and lips pale, with dark shadows under her eyes.
Long time no see, Alex.
I took 2 steps back, pulled over a chair, and sat down. The cat in my arms sensed the tension, meowed, and wriggled free, running away.
I couldn't make it to your father's funeral. I'm sorry, but at that time. She shook her head gently and changed the subject. I found out where you were some time ago, but I didn't act on it. At first, it was because I wasn't feeling well, and later, I was probably afraid of not knowing what to say when I saw you.
She gave a bitter smile, her eyes welling up with tears.
Just say what you need to. I can handle it now.
I don't know what you heard outside the bedroom that day, but I want to say, if you had heard the entire conversation between Ethan and me, you would realize that what you thought wasn't the truth. I wasn't with you because of Lila. I know you would do anything for her, you didn't need me to ask.
It doesn't matter anymore. I don't care about those things.
But you should care because I
interrupted her, bending down to pull out an invitation from the drawer, handing it to her with both hands.
Guests are always welcome. I'm getting married tomorrow. Resources are limited in this small town, so please forgive any shortcomings in the hospitality. I hope you'll have a few more drinks at the wedding, Ms. Thompson.
Back then, this small town had only 2 or 3 tofu shops, and Grace Miller, known as the Tofu Beauty, was famous. Her big black eyes paired with a bell-like laugh, her ample bosom tightly bound in her blouse, and her delicate white arms revealed when she rolled up her sleeves in the steamy kitchen. She would show charming dimples when taking the money you handed her. When I was a 10-year-old boy, she was already a charming young woman. Now, over 30, a widow with an 8-year-old son, she still had many suitors. And I, young, healthy, and good-looking, with no attachments, was naturally a good candidate for a live-in son-in-law. Everyone has their unattainable love, but why shouldn't I? Nonsense. If you can't beat them, join them. It didn't seem so bad. Older women are more caring. Once married, I'd have a wife, a child, and a warm home. Life couldn't get any better. Thinking of this, I straightened my back. The best suit in town cost just over $1,000, but I felt like I was wearing a custom-made one. The banquet had started, and guests were arriving in 2s and 3s. I busied myself greeting them, frequently glancing towards the street, eagerly awaiting the arrival of the wedding car.
Alex.
Lily walked up to me alone, silently. I was prepared and not surprised.
Miss Thompson, you're early. No congratulatory red envelope?
Lily's face stiffened but quickly relaxed, as if she was immune to my unconventional ways. She pulled out her phone and waved it.
No cash, but I can pay electronically. Aren't you afraid I'll find out your new number?
Pretending? If you could find me here, you probably already knew everything about me.
Scan. The message immediately notified me of the payment. Wow, a generous $10,000. Thank you, Miss Thompson. Feel free to enjoy yourself. I turned to leave.
Lily quickly moved a step, blocking my way, and grabbed my sleeve, looking up at me softly.
Alex, I want to apologize. Last time, I was too focused on explaining and didn't get to tell you how guilty and regretful I feel.
It doesn't matter. I don't need that.
Lily's eyes dimmed, her voice trembling.
Yes, apologies are useless. So I want you to know, I'm willing to do anything to make up for the hurt I've caused you. All the pain you've endured, I'm experiencing it now. Would that make you feel a bit better?
Maybe, I sighed, feeling a bit of pity.
Her eyes instantly brightened like stars, filled with undisguised passion.
Then, is there a chance you might like me a bit more?
I'm getting married, Miss Thompson.
Brushing off her hand from my sleeve, I turned to leave, but I heard her say behind me.
Grace won't be coming. I went to her house last night.
I finally understood what it felt like to stand alone on a stage, facing jeers from the crowd. Damn, money really can make anything possible. In the bustling crowd, Lily and I stared at each other from across the street.
I'm sorry, I didn't want it to come to this, but I had no other choice.
Can't solve the problem? Then solve the person causing it. Classic Lily. I suppressed my anger, 1,000 words ready to burst out, but I was interrupted. Screech! A black business car screeched to a halt at the street corner, leaving a long arc. Grace emerged from the car, lifting the hem of her cumbersome wedding dress, followed by a man and a woman. It was Sarah and Ethan.
Sorry, Miss Thompson, they offered too much.
Lily was first stunned, then her anger surged, her face turning red as she glared at Sarah. Sarah didn't back down, returning a meaningful cold smile. Ethan ignored everything around him and walked straight to Lily.
Lily, can you please stop this?
He reached out to grab Lily, but she shook him off.
Ethan, I told you clearly that morning when you came to see me, we can't get back together. You didn't listen and said things that made Alex misunderstand me. I won't hold that against you, but can you please stop bothering me?
Sarah seized the opportunity to approach me.
Alex, will you come back with me?
What the hell is this ridiculous? You chase, I run, I can't escape competition. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my mind, but then I heard Lily angrily questioning Grace.
How much did she offer you? $1 million? I'll add 1.5 million.
You think you're the only one who can add? 2 million.
Lily was furious, pointing at Grace.
Final offer, 5 million. Plus a school district house in the provincial capital.
Grace's expression was like she had been hit by a windfall, and before she could faint, she quickly lifted her skirt and stood beside Lily. I looked at each of them, feeling absurd. My throat felt like it was being squeezed by a hand, each breath requiring immense effort. But the anger kept rising, my heart pounding like a drum, each throb in my temples challenging my sanity. I took a deep breath, trying to control my expression, and looked at Sarah.
Ms. Williams, I appreciate your regard for me, but it's just appreciation, nothing more.
Sarah's face fell, her eyes widening slightly.
If you're feeling down, I can offer some self-help advice. The world is vast. Why focus on one person? You can find satisfaction and joy elsewhere.
Then I turned to Ethan.
I once tried to emulate you, but that was because I was willing to do anything for Lily. It had nothing to do with you. I have nothing to say to you.
Finally, I turned to Lily.
And as for you, Lily.
Under everyone's gaze, I walked into the house and came out with a fertilizer bag. The next second, I threw the bag into the air, and the scattered bills fluttered down, carried by the wind, filling half the street.
Surprised? I have money too!
I laughed self-deprecatingly.
I don't want this breakup fee, so I invested all the money in a random stock. Maybe I was unlucky, it kept dropping after I bought it. But not long ago, this company was acquired and restructured by a tech giant, and the stock price soared, multiplying 5 times.
I looked at Lily, feeling a mix of sadness and joy.
Although I can't compare to your vast wealth, in general terms, I'm a legitimate wealthy man now. I'll repay all my father's 3 years of medical expenses. I owe you nothing.
Lily took a few steps forward, anxiously speaking.
No, Alex, it's not like that.
I raised my hand to stop her from approaching.
Although there's no true empathy in this world, I can try to guess your thoughts. You probably feel unsatisfied and uncomfortable because the person who always pampered, flattered, and followed you suddenly disappeared. That's human nature, understandable.
It's not like that.
Lily interrupted me, tears finally streaming down her face.
I made many mistakes, taking your indulgence for granted. I thought as long as I turned back, you'd always be there waiting for me, no matter how I disrespected or humiliated you.
She choked, her breathing trembling.
At first, I did think, like you said, that I was just tired and wanted to return to you. But when Ethan came begging for reconciliation, I finally woke up. Thinking about what I did to you and how Ethan treated me, I understood everything.
I watched her tearful words, my mind in turmoil, instinctively stepping back and pushing Lily away. Lily lost her balance, falling backward and hitting her lower back. Suddenly, she seemed to be in pain, clutching her mouth and retching. In the rush, her wide dress hem lifted, revealing a small, barely noticeable bump. Everyone was stunned. All the blood rushed to my head, my mind racing to calculate the time. Could it be, from that time? Ethan Parker was the first to react. He burst into a fit of maniacal laughter.
So that's it. All that talk about loving only me was a lie. It's his, isn't it? You've made up your mind to leave me for him. Why?
His expression turned wild as he grabbed a knife from the table and charged at me.
I'll make you feel the pain of losing everything. Die, Alex Cooper!
In a flash, someone pushed me aside. A familiar scent of lilies filled the air as black hair brushed against my face. I didn't have time to see her clearly before I saw large red blooms of blood spreading from her back, the heat of it splashing onto my face.
I don't think I've ever told you, I love you, Alex.
I was terrified, my heart trembling. I held Lily and ran frantically. Every image in my mind was of her vibrant self. She said she hadn't come to see me because she wasn't feeling well. So, it was because of this child, wasn't it? Because the first 3 months were unstable, she didn't dare to travel far. That's why she looked so exhausted and frail. My vision blurred, my legs felt weak, until a few paramedics jumped out of an oncoming ambulance, pried my fingers open, and lifted Lily onto the stretcher, then wheeled her into the operating room.
Alex, Ethan has been taken away by the police.
She'll be okay, right?
The paramedics told me the knife was dull, it didn't go in too deep, it shouldn't have hit any organs. She probably just fainted from the shock. The baby is over 4 months along and should be stable.
But she lost so much blood.
I spread my hands, palms covered in red, all of it Lily's blood.
She'll be fine, and so will you.
Sarah pulled out a wet wipe, gently cleaning my hands.
I'm leaving, Alex. It's not because of this child, I never had much of a chance. When you threw money at Lily, I knew I could never win against her. You only have so many emotions when it comes to her. On my way here, I thought about bailing Ethan out and keeping him by my side as your substitute, but now I realize, only the right person can stay. Just the thought of Ethan near me makes me sick, while Lily shared a bed with you for 3 years.
She kissed my chin, placed the remaining wet wipe in my hand, and stood up.
You will find them, you deserve it.
She smiled, waved, and walked away without looking back. Lily woke up the next morning. She opened her eyes suddenly, scanning the room in a panic. When she saw me by the window, she let out a barely audible sigh of relief and reached out a hand. I rushed to hold her hand. Her eyes were red, like a wrong child, but they sparkled like stars, her thick lashes intertwined, holding an irresistible hope.
When I was young, I always wanted to be the hero in a love story, bravely fighting off villains to protect the one I loved. I never thought you'd steal my role.
Lily's expression froze for a moment at my unexpected words, then she laughed.
I'm sorry, and thank you.
Thank me for what?
Thank you for still believing in me. I didn't come to you because of this child. I fainted at the airport and found out about it. It was unstable, so I didn't dare to travel.
I know everything.
I brushed her hair back and kissed her lips, sealing all the unspoken explanations and apologies in that deep kiss.
I know you didn't come to me because of the child, just like you know I wouldn't abandon Lila. So, no need to thank me, and I love you. I've always loved you.
Tears fell from Lily's eyes, but this time she smiled, tilting her head to deepen the unfinished kiss. In this vast world, no matter who you've met or are meeting now, there will always be someone who belongs to you. Maybe you didn't know it then, or still don't know it now, but as long as your heart stays on the path, you will meet again. Because sincerity brings miracles.